Welcome back, dear listeners, to the English Proficiency Podcast. It truly delights me to share this special episode with you today. We have thoroughly explored the technical aspects of listening, understanding words, accents, and overcoming challenges. But today, we embark upon a topic that delves deeper, touching the very heart of human connection: emotional intelligence through listening, or, as we often say, reading between the lines.
Yes, Smith, this is such a vital, profound skill, not just for language learners, but for anyone truly wishing to connect with others. Imagine listening to someone's words, perfectly understanding their vocabulary and grammar, yet feeling as though you have completely missed their true message, their actual sentiment. This is precisely where emotional intelligence in listening becomes absolutely indispensable. It unlocks a deeper layer of communication.
You have captured it perfectly, Jamila. Emotional intelligence, at its core, is the capacity to understand and manage one's own emotions and, crucially, to perceive, understand, and influence the emotions of others. When applied to listening, it means hearing more than just the literal words spoken. It means hearing the feelings, the intentions, the unspoken needs, and the underlying messages that are often conveyed non-verbally.
It truly is about tuning into the complete human communication, beyond the simple auditory input. For English language learners, this is particularly powerful. You might master every grammar rule and possess a vast vocabulary, but if you cannot grasp the emotional tone of a conversation, or understand sarcasm, or detect frustration, your comprehension will remain superficial, will it not?
It certainly will. You might respond literally to a figurative expression of exasperation, for instance, leading to misunderstandings or awkward social situations. Emotionally intelligent listening allows you to build stronger rapport, foster deeper empathy, and respond far more appropriately and effectively in real-world English interactions. It turns a linguistic exchange into a genuine human connection.
So, how do we begin to read between the lines and cultivate this essential skill? We will explore three main categories of cues: nonverbal cues, vocal cues, and contextual cues. Each provides invaluable pieces of the emotional puzzle. Let us begin with nonverbal cues.
Absolutely. When you are listening in a face-to-face setting, perhaps during a video call or an in-person conversation, the speaker's body language often speaks volumes, sometimes even more loudly than their words. Pay very close attention to facial expressions. A genuine smile, a furrowed brow indicating confusion or worry, widened eyes signaling surprise. These are universal indicators of emotion.
Yes, and consider eye contact. Is it direct and engaged, suggesting confidence and sincerity? Or is it averted, perhaps indicating discomfort, shyness, or even evasiveness? These subtle shifts in gaze convey so much. Also, observe gestures and body posture. Are the speaker's arms crossed, suggesting defensiveness or a closed mind? Are their hands open, indicating openness? Are they leaning in, showing engagement, or leaning back, suggesting distance?
Precisely. Fidgeting, restlessness, or rigid posture can all indicate nervousness, discomfort, or impatience. Conversely, a relaxed but attentive posture usually signals comfort and openness. Even movements like nodding can convey agreement or simple active listening, depending on the context.
But what about when you are listening to audio-only content, like this podcast or a phone call? We obviously cannot see facial expressions or body language. This is where vocal cues become incredibly powerful and informative.
You are entirely correct. The tone of voice is paramount. Is it warm and friendly, sharp and annoyed, calm and reassuring, or anxious and shaky? The emotional flavor of a message is almost always carried by its tone, even if the words themselves are neutral.
And then consider pitch. A higher pitch might indicate excitement, nervousness, or even anger, while a lower pitch can convey seriousness, authority, or sadness.
Absolutely. The pace or speed of speech also tells a story. Rapid speech might suggest excitement, nervousness, or urgency, whereas a slower pace could indicate thoughtfulness, sadness, or an attempt to emphasize a point. Even pauses are significant. A long pause might suggest contemplation, hesitation, or emotional distress.
This is why simply understanding words is not enough. Imagine someone saying, "I am fine," but their tone is flat, their pitch low, and their pace slow, accompanied by a sigh. An emotionally intelligent listener immediately picks up that fine does not mean fine in the way the words literally suggest. The vocal cues tell a different story entirely.
This is where our third category of cues, contextual cues, becomes incredibly helpful for truly reading between the lines. Beyond the individual words, beyond the nonverbal and vocal signals, the broader situation itself provides vital information about the emotional landscape of the conversation.
Exactly. Think about the relationship between the speakers. Is it a conversation between close friends, colleagues, a parent and child, or a boss and employee? The established relationship heavily influences the emotional dynamics and the acceptable ways of expressing feelings. What is appropriate for friends might be highly unusual for professional colleagues.
Absolutely. And consider the situation or setting. Are they in a stressful environment, like a hospital waiting room, a celebratory event like a birthday party, or a formal setting like a job interview? The context immediately helps you predict and interpret the likely emotional states and acceptable emotional expressions. A person might express frustration differently in a private conversation than they would in a public meeting.
Also, consider the cultural background of the speakers. Emotional expressions, nonverbal cues, and even the interpretation of silence can vary significantly across cultures. What might be considered enthusiastic in one culture could be perceived as overly aggressive in another. Being aware of these cultural nuances prevents misinterpretations.
Absolutely. This requires sensitivity and a willingness to learn about different cultural communication styles. This adds another fascinating layer to emotionally intelligent listening. So, how do we actively practice and develop this crucial skill? One powerful strategy is empathetic listening.
Yes, empathetic listening means putting yourself in the speaker's shoes. Try to genuinely understand their feelings, their perspective, and their motivations. This does not mean you have to agree with them, but rather that you acknowledge and respect their emotional experience.
Practice phrases that show empathy and active listening. It sounds like you are feeling frustrated, or I can see how that would be upsetting, or I understand that must be difficult. These phrases validate the speaker's emotions and encourage them to share more openly.
Another key strategy is to reflect emotions back to the speaker. This is not simply repeating their words, but articulating what you perceive their emotion to be. For instance, "So, if I am understanding correctly, you are feeling a bit overwhelmed by this task." This allows them to confirm or correct your perception.
This reflection technique is incredibly powerful because it shows the speaker that you are truly listening beyond the words, that you are connecting with their emotional state. It builds trust and strengthens the relationship, which is a wonderful outcome of effective communication.
Also, cultivate a habit of not interrupting when a speaker is expressing strong emotions. Give them the space and time they need to articulate their feelings fully. Your presence and attentive silence can be far more powerful than any immediate advice or words you might offer.
Your ability to observe, interpret, and respond to emotional cues truly elevates your English listening skills from merely linguistic to deeply human. This makes you not just a better English speaker, but a better communicator and a more understanding individual overall.
Absolutely. This skill is particularly vital in situations like conflict resolution, building rapport in a new team, navigating challenging personal conversations, or even simply understanding the tone and sentiment behind a news report or a character's dialogue in a film.
For language learners, practicing this involves active observation during real-life interactions. Pay attention to the subtle cues of your English-speaking friends, teachers, or colleagues. How did they express happiness, sadness, frustration, or excitement, not just with words, but with their whole being?
When watching English films or TV shows, pause and reflect on the characters' emotions. What nonverbal cues are they displaying? What does their tone of voice tell you? Does it match their words? This conscious analysis helps train your emotional ear.
Listen to interviews where speakers might be nervous, excited, or guarded. Try to identify these underlying emotions from their vocal cues and pauses, even if you cannot see them. This builds your sensitivity to subtle auditory signals.
This journey to becoming an emotionally intelligent listener is continuous. It requires patience, keen observation, and a willingness to step outside the literal meaning of words to truly connect with the human experience behind them.
Remember, every time you successfully read between the lines, you are not just improving your English listening, you are strengthening your empathy, building deeper connections, and enriching your understanding of the diverse human experience. These are truly invaluable life skills.
Thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this enlightening and deeply human episode of the English Proficiency Podcast. We truly trust that these insights into emotional intelligence through listening will empower you to connect on a much deeper level in all your English interactions.
Join us next time as we continue our language learning journey. We have so much more to explore together, and we're eagerly anticipating it.
Until then, keep listening with your heart as well as your ears, keep practicing diligently, and keep growing your amazing English proficiency.
Farewell for now, everyone.